Swamp tea. That's the good stuff, I'm telling you. Full of all kinds of minerals and vitamins and decaying organic matter and killed protozoan and organisms, and I guess that would include some protein, right? Swamp tea.
So, clean drinking water, something that is actually so important you cannot live without it. And out here, it's harder than ever to try and get clean water. There's so many things that contaminate the water out here. And today I'm going to try and give you 3 quick tips to try and make sure that you get the cleanest water that you can. Right off the bat, tip number 1, look for flowing water. So flowing water like this is likely going to have contaminants in it. However, because it's flowing, the contaminants are going to be really dispersed. They're going to be a lot less concentrated than they would if they were in stagnant water. See, stagnant and sitting water like this is going to catch and hold just about any kind of living organism. And this water in particular is flood water. So this is water that's backflowed from the Appomattox River and up into here. So there's all kinds of stuff that's with this. So I guess my number 1 tip actually is don't drink the black water, don't drink the rainbow water, and don't drink the muck water, and you'll probably be okay-ish. So 1, water goes downhill. Clearly, if you're high up in elevation, you want to start checking around the sides of the hills. You look for small creeks and streams where water has began to run off the hill. You can oftentimes find water settled into little pockets of these. So in these higher elevations coming down these hills, you can often find these washes where lots of rain over the course of years and years have actually eroded out these little ravines that are in the hillside, and they're usually dry, but if you start walking down them and exploring them a little bit, you can oftentimes find a little bit of water at the bottom, like that. Now the thing is because this water is actually coming out the ground. This is actually kind of an ideal water source compared to everything that we've been able to look at so far. So what we have is we have some water that's actually running a little bit. It's slow, but it is running, and running water is good compared to non-running water. This water is also coming out the ground, coming straight out the ground right here. There's no more stream up further that way. This is where it starts, and if we look across the stream right here, we can actually see where it's just running out the ground, literally running out the ground. So we could actually collect water from this, in a sense, spring right here and drink this as is. However, I would recommend that if you have the means to boil, filter, or purify this water in any way that you have, to do that, because it's better to be safe than sorry. And also, let's face it, most people nowadays don't have the gut resistance to be able to drink somewhat contaminated water and not get sick from it. So let's not get sick while we're stuck in the woods. So, got the water that's actually flowing a little bit right here, and I'm going to take and dig it out a little bit with a rock, so that way you can actually see some of the water fill up a little pool here. So what I've done is I have built a little containment well for some of this water that's coming in here, and it's working mostly pretty well. There's some erosion issues that are happening along the side where I didn't use rocks like I should have. So this is really good spring water, and you can drink this as is if you wanted to. You can let the sediment settle out a little bit. I would. Now I feel fine drinking this water as is, but as I mentioned before, I want to recommend anybody and everybody filter, boil, purify your water somehow or another before you drink it, because you never know. And most of our immune systems aren't up to the task nowadays anymore. But mine is. That's good. Now, in an alternative situation where you might find one of these ravines right here and you don't find any water, you can actually just try and find really low areas in these little ravines right here and just dig with a shovel, a spade, a digging stick, your bare hands. Try and find some soft, muddy soil where water is actually settling at. You can oftentimes dig up some water that you can then collect and then filter or boil. This water is not going to be as safe as the water we just got from the spring, but it's still water, and it's better than swamp water. So finding clean drinking water out here in this kind of a situation is quite the challenge, actually. You see, this is all lowland, and all the water that would run downhill and collect in pools that would be safe for us to drink normally are all in one giant pool now. And that's breaming with all kinds of pathogens and everything else. So we're going to try and avoid drinking that. So for tip number 3, sometimes you just have to deal with it and boil stuff. And you can't always find nice, clean, perfect water. So we're just going to light ourselves a fire. There we go. And we're going to use our fat wood here to help get this going. I'm using this bark right here to insulate my fire from the cold and very wet ground. So the amount of time that you need to boil your water for is going to depend on your altitude, and higher altitudes are going to need to boil their water just a little bit longer than those who are in lower altitudes. I'm only about 250 feet above sea level right here, clearly.
Swamp tea. That's the good stuff, I'm telling you. Full of all kinds of minerals and vitamins and decaying organic matter and killed protozoan and organisms, and I guess that would include some protein, right? Swamp tea. Okay, so being serious, boiling water is a really crude way of doing this. It takes a while for the water to cool down. It has its own issues, and it involves you needing a fire every single time. Ideally, you'd want a steel water bottle, so that way you can boil your entire water bottle's worth of water at once. But I carry a steel water bottle and a nesting cup. So as an alternative to this, there are commercial water filters available, like LifeStraw, like Sawyer, like Katydin. I've got a Katydin Be Free in my everyday carry backpack, actually. And while I'd be able to take that filter and scoop out some water from straight in here and just drink it straight through the bag, that's not ideal, because that's going to clog your filter extraordinarily fast. So being able to pre-filter this water before running it through your filter would be ideal. And the rest of everything else is absolutely spot on. You want to try and find moving water for a water filter, because you want to try and maximize the life of your water filter. You don't want to stick it in a mud puddle, drink from a mud puddle, and then kill your filter at one use. So if you pay attention to any news at all, you might already know that Virginia has been having a few issues with wildfires lately. So I'm just making sure that doesn't happen here. As much water is around me, I really don't think that's going to happen, but you never can be too safe.